I tell you what, you ain't balling until you a boss. If you fake it, let's get to it, man. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another edition of the War Zone, and you know how I started off every night. I want to tell you happy, whatever that may mean. And I'm at my foci, so you might hear a little noise, but I'm in St. Louis. So, just bear with me for a second, and then we're going to get down to it, man. Fabulous guest in the building tonight, female entrepreneur. I've been knowing her for a while. Ain't no pandemic going to stop your hustle if you got a hustle in you, partner. I can promise you that. So, I'm going to turn it over to Demetri, and we're going to crank this thing up.
So, hello, everybody. I have everybody mute their mics. It's Gary. Here we go. So, hello, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. As I said yesterday, we are, I think hell literally bust open here in Southern California. We're about 104, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 degrees, depending on where you are. And I said also we have 738 fires going at the same time. I also hear that in the southern region of the nation, you guys have like 2 hurricanes going at once. It says it's like a historical thing, so like what's really going on, right? So anyway, before we get started, we want to talk a little politics, just really quick for some of you guys who haven't heard Kamala, her stance on reparations, which is actually going to lead us into our conversation about entrepreneurship and just really being able to feed yourself, right? So you guys check this out and give us your thoughts. Some of you guys, not all of you, because some of you guys' thoughts are a little off the hook. But here we go. Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, listen, again, do you support reparations for Black people? Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans.
But no, if you get the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
So y'all heard it there. Kamala's not very open to reparations. In fact, now listen, I also want to say this because, oh my God, some of y'all be getting in y'all feelings, like in your feelings. All you guys do is talk about the Democrats. Listen, the GOP, they're having their convention next week, so just wait for it, okay? We can only do it at a time, but I'm sure we'll have a whole lot to say about that. But one thing I'd like to point out, and maybe I'm wrong, but the Democrats didn't say a word from Monday tells us, hey, we're still on our own, you know, and which is why we're going to have this conversation tonight about being your own, I should say this, boss, being your own boss. This is actually Bridget's clothing line. So we're going to talk a lot about that, but, you know, about being your own boss, because until reparation happens, what are we going to do? Sit around and wait for somebody to feed us? So, Gary, I'll give it back to you, but that's why Walter's here. He is our money guy. He's going to tie in, you know, different financial points of view. We're going to talk to Bridget about, you know, her inspiration, motivation for starting her clothing line. And then me and Donovan, we're just going to be like flies on the wall. So, Gary?
I wanted to give a lady the benefit of the doubt. And I saw the clip. So you just not going to do something for just black people. Donovan, unmute your microphone real quick. The first day Joe Biden gets in office, are they going to do something for just certain people and not black people?
Yes, Joe Biden has been on the record and has said day one he will do DACA, day one DACA, Dreamers, and LGBTQ. But if you put all three of those groups together, that is not enough people to deliver the White House to Joe Biden and the Democrats. But he's going to do for people who can't deliver for him rather than the people that he needs. Thus, Kamala Harris is on the ticket. But he's going to do everybody else.
So I'm confused. You won't commit to doing just something for black people, but yet you will commit to doing something for illegal immigrants that only benefits them, for doing something for the LGBT community, which only benefits them. But you won't do nothing for black people. You ain't gonna do just something for us. So all of y'all out there screaming for reparations, charge it to the game. It ain't gonna happen under that administration.
Right.
So you might have to become a boss to survive this pandemic. You may have to. And it's a damn shame that we even considering these people, and they flat out telling us, no, we're not just going to do something for just black people, but yet you're going to do something for everybody else. Dimitri?
No, I wholeheartedly agree. And so what I'd like to do is bounce it to Bridget and tell us what inspired you to become, hold on a second, your own boss. What inspired you to become your own boss, and tell us how it's been, you know, during the pandemic, because we, you know, hear a whole lot of, I guess, hardship with business owners and things like that. So tell us your story.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for allowing me to be on your platform this evening. Actually, I started out being a boss back in 2006 or 7-ish. And it was by happenstance. I am an accountant by profession. I've been in the accounting tax bookkeeping field for over 20 plus years. I am originally from Louisiana, and I moved to Houston with my 3 young children at the time, young children. And I started my career here and been here ever since, now with 8 grandchildren. But to make a long story short, I worked for Conoco Oil and Gas Company before they merged with Phillips, and had a reduction in force in accounting. So they laid us off. We either take our severance package or we moved to Bordersville, Oklahoma. So, of course, I took the money. So at the time, I was married, and I wanted to go back to school and continue my bachelor's degree. But my husband said, well, no, we need 2 incomes. We had 4 children together. Well, not by him, but. So his cousin asked me to babysit her baby once she delivered. And I said, sure, fine. You know, I'm at home now. I'll do that. So she told a friend, and her friend asked me to babysit her baby when she delivered. I said, okay. So I ended up with about 10 or 11 children at my home as a daycare. And I ended up opening a daycare. I told my mom, she was still in Louisiana. I said, hey, I think I want to do a daycare. Open it. She said, well, go for it. And then once I opened my daycare, she actually opened a soul food restaurant back home in my hometown. So we kind of inspired each other. So, you know, life happened. My husband and I divorced. We closed the daycare down and everything went our separate ways. So I got back out into the workforce, and it was still pretty good. I ended up going back to finish my bachelor's degree, so I did get a bachelor's of science in business with a concentration in accounting, another accounting degree. And I still did not think about going back into business. Well, now my children are grown. I started grandchildren, and I needed some extra income. I started off with mobile notary. And starting with the mobile notary, it just left other doors. So what happened was I started to see the younger generation actually wanting to start own businesses, which I thought was so simple. I would see a lot of younger adults on Instagram and social media. By then, I'm on social media quite a bit. And I noticed that the first thing that they would say was, "Oh, I'm starting me a business and I just got my logo." And I'm thinking, like, did you register the business yet? So that's how I kind of got into it. Now, fast forward to this year, 2020, during the pandemic, quite a few people have asked me, well, did it stop any of your business ventures? And I said no, because what happened was I am mobile, first of all, with my notary. I also do mobile tax preparation. So a lot of things I do it from my home or in my truck. So I had to rebrand myself. I didn't want the overhead of opening a building and everything. So that's what I did. I started doing mobile. So it really didn't affect me too much. They actually have online mobile services. I didn't sign up for that because the notary piece is just a small piece of my businesses. My blanket business is called Professional Business Solutions, and I do notary, tax preparation, document preparation, and my main thing is I help start up businesses. That's my passion. I love to see those young people, and older people too. They actually started getting into, well, I need your help. I know I want to open a business, but I just don't know where to start. And so that's where my passion came in at. Believe it or not, I have 5 different businesses. And I could give you a background on why. And I actually have 4 different streams of income. And again, it wasn't planned. I kind of fell into it. And, doors just started opening. But during the pandemic, I would tell people, a lot of people, woe is me. We don't know when we're going back to work. I don't know what to do. And I told them, I said, find something that's less cost efficient. And, start with that. A hobby. Things that you like to do. Services. People now, especially now, are going to need services. And a lot of the services are online. What happened when the pandemic broke out? We had to stay home. Of course, restaurants closed. Well, they had to close their doors. So we were forced to use DoorDash, Grubhub, those different places. And once this is over, people are still going to use those type of services because it became convenient. So I told them, I said, think about what's going to happen at the end of the pandemic. When all of the smoke is clear, are going to be the needs of Americans. So that was one aspect. Okay, stores started closing. We could not go into the stores. So people were forced to use online shopping sites. I said, okay, boutiques, clothing lines, and things like that. And believe it or not, the clothing line was not in my hat either. That kind of fell in my lap as well. So that's the type of things that I started coaching some of my clients toward. Just start with online things. Start with a small boutique. Start selling things. My daughter told me, my daughter's 24 years old. She's the baby of 3, and she's the only girl. She said, Mom, why don't you sell something? I said, I'm not a salesperson because I hate to be turned down. I don't like people saying no. She said, well, everybody knows you. You have a following, and people know your credibility. So what I did is I started branding Fine, and it's called Boss Established 73. And of course, it's kind of explanatory. The 73 is the year that I was born, so that was the year that a boss was born. So I started branding the wine. And a good friend of mine, we started collaborating because she does custom designs, t-shirts, cups, mugs, all type of stuff like that. And she made a shirt for me. She said, hey, I want you to try this shirt, and we put the Boss logo on it, and it just blew out everywhere. Everybody wanted the t-shirts. And so that's how that started. But just that one piece just one thing. If you can if you have 2,000 people on your timeline, on your social media, and you're selling one product at $10, and you market it out there to those 2,000 people, you multiply at least half, maybe a third. Say about 500 people actually buy your product for $10. That's profit.
Absolutely. And so, and Walter, before I pass it over to you, I was actually, as you were speaking, I was thinking of Carter G. Woodson in his book called The Miseducation of the Negro, where he talked about how, obviously this was written in the early 1900s, but he was talking about how we as Black people went off to school and we got these big giant degrees and all of that. But unfortunately, when we came back, we necessarily, not that we didn't know, but we didn't use them because we didn't have the money and all that kind of stuff. But we forgot to revolutionize the stuff that our parents did. Like if your mom was a washerwoman or your dad, did a shoe shine or wash cars and stuff, instead of going off and becoming a psychiatrist and, all these elaborate things, why not come back and build upon what it is your people were doing, because we still needed those things. And so as I heard you speak, you talk about babysitting and your mom opened up a restaurant. So stuff that we still need as a people. And so, and one last point, when you're talking about the COVID shutting things down, I remember going to Walmart and noticing that the clothing area was almost bare signs because you couldn't go anywhere else to shop. So, Walter, what say you?
Let me unmute myself first. Well, I'm glad you guys are talking about starting your own business. People are always asking, what do you care about outside of my kids and my family? It's money. It's all I think about 100% of the time. And here's why, because no matter what you do, money is attached to it, right? So I don't care what it is. Like it's Friday in California. We got ash coming down. It looks like hell here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to St. Martin this weekend for a week. Ain't no ash in St. Bart's. It's funny. I went to go book my tickets. They asked me for a credit card. So money is wrapped up into everything. And there's a good book I always tell people to read. It's called The Color of Money, right? We talked about it here. It actually goes over Black businesses. It talks about Tulsa, Black Wall Street. It talks about Durham, North Carolina. It talks about all the Black establishments, all these Black communities that had their own businesses, from banks, mortuaries, you name it. And I know there was a lot going on with people coming in, destroying the communities and all the things that went with that. But we're not dealing with that, at least not to that point. Not where they just come bomb from the sky and just come, destroy everything. So we have the ability to do that all over again. And you can start with just like, you mentioned Bridget, right? I can't see your name. My name is blocking your name, right? Maybe we can add them together and start something.
Okay.
I always tell people, you got an idea, let me know. I love investing, especially with my own people, right? And I love the clothing line idea because everyone wears clothes. Everyone wears clothes. And I don't know how it is that the clothes are off the shelf right now. So people they spend money on the thing that excites them, and they care about how they look. You'll never go wrong with food and clothing, right? So let me get back to where I was. So the book, The Color of Money, I think that's something that we should make our kids read. You can go on Amazon, you can download it, you can use a credit, or it's like $13-14. That book pissed me off to the point I was angry for the whole day that I started listening to it. And it goes through all the things that we as Black people have done. I just wish that we would teach our kids that. One. Two, it's okay to have a job. What? Right? I know I've been offensive sometimes. I tell my friends, you going to work all day for $100. Like, that's what life is worth. And then that's kind of me, right? Because you have to start somewhere. But what I think you should do is do your job, but have your side hustle you can start at night. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about this. You give an employer, right, if you work a regular job, 9 to 5? But then your job doesn't start at 9, it starts the night before. Because think about this. If you have to work tomorrow, what do you tell your friends that want to go to dinner? What do you tell your kids that want you to take them to the movie? Oh, I got to work tomorrow, right? So your job starts the day before. Sunday used to be one of the worst days for me because I would just get the sick feeling of having to go punch a clock. Right? I mean, the number one day for heart attacks and suicide is Monday morning.
Monday morning. Yep.
Before people go to
Monday
work,
morning.
they pull the plug, slice the throat, do what they got to do. Well, they don't got to do that, but some of them feel like they need to do that. Right? So I think it's okay to have a job, but work your business after hours. I mean, because you get home at like 6 or 7, you eat dinner, and then you get started. Right? And I know a lot of the richest people in the world, and if you think about it, the industry they got rich in, a lot of them used to work in that industry. Right? If you look at Apple, Google, Microsoft, a lot of these guys worked for a company and then went and started their own company. Right? So if you're in accounting, why not just start your own accounting firm? Right? One of my buddies, she works at H&R Block. They pay her like $200,000 a year, and she works 16 hours a day, and that's just in the office, not to mention at work. And so I said, what do you get to keep when it's all said and done? She goes, well, I take home about 100. I said, and subtract your clothing, your meals at work, the stress, the drugs, the weed you smoke, dealing with your employees, all that stuff. And really, what do you get to keep? She's like, oh, see. So wouldn't it make sense just to go out and start your own business that would pay you 61 and then you'd be on top of the game, right? And so there's no getting fired when you work for yourself. The beautiful thing about having your own business, and I know it's scary for some of you people. I mean, that's a scary feeling, right? Some days I wake up sick to my stomach, because I realize it's not just me, my kids, my family, a whole bunch of people that work with me and for me, are depending on what I do. That's a lot of stress. But you know what it also comes with? Freedom and money. And the cool thing is once you start, it becomes an addiction. Like Bridget, you mentioned you have 4 or 5 streams of income. That is, and even if you just add those up, sooner or later, that stuff, it starts to add. And before you know it, you're like, oh, where's this check from? Like, I'll get a check in the mail and go, I forgot about that side hustle. So,
you're hitting the nail on the head because, yes, one of my streams of income is a 9-to-5 job. Trust me, I still work. After I get off at 5, from 5 until, sometimes I'm up until 2:30 in the morning, but that's because I'm making sure that I take care of my clients. The weekends, those are my days because I don't work on weekends. It's just Monday through Friday. And Saturday and Sunday is devoted to my clients and my business. And like you said, yes, sometimes it gets stressful because I want to make sure that I'm providing them with great customers. So yes, the 9-to-5 is the job that actually pays the bill. And that's what I plan. So that's what I plan to find my professional business solution services all over my accounting. And how I got into that is because I use QuickBooks for my bookkeeping. And one day I was just browsing through QuickBooks, signing up for some stuff, and they have this ambassador program. So one of my streams of income is passive income because they pay me for everyone that signs up with QuickBooks under my link. So you have to, and what I tell people, think outside of the box. Like Demetra said, yes, everyone is not college material. And I had to learn that. My mother was very upset at me, rest her soul, because I did not go to college.
I'm not college material.
I was an AMB student here in Florida. But I didn't go to college, and she was very upset. And what happened is I ended up with 3 children. I wasn't married. I'm an unmarried mother of 3. And they laid us off at the school system. I worked for the school system. And I was like, what in the world am I going to do now? So I ended up going to college and getting an associate's degree in accounting and went from there. But I look at all of the years, all of the different industries that I worked for. Everything that I did throughout these last 20 years, I'm actually doing for my own business. So everywhere that I went and everything that I did, I took those things as learning experiences. And none of my children went to college, and I was upset because my daughter didn't go. But she said, "Mom, I am." She said, "I'm just not ready. I don't want to go to college." So she actually ended up starting her business, and it's called the Truth Part 2. Because that was what my mom's soul food restaurant was.
Okay, there you go. That's better. So
it was
that's
called
Gary.
Teacher Part 2. So I said, okay, well, that's what you want to do, and I'm here to help. I'll help you.
And the cool thing with kids is at first they'll make you want to kill them, right? Because they always got something to say. I know if I have. Anyways, we don't have that much time to talk about kids, and I got 6. But it's cool to watch them figure things out. Like my father was a mechanic. We would get up, we would wake up at 5 a.m. and we would work until midnight. And I did that all summer. So like hanging out with my friends and all that stuff I could do. But the crazy part is now I can do a lot of stuff that my friends can't do. So you can try. And those little things that you give your kids, sooner or later, the light bulb will turn on. Like, I didn't go to college either. Well, I'm lying. I went to college for like 6, maybe a few months. And I followed my professor out to his car. And I was like, oh no, I ain't never riding in that. And then I looked at his clothes. And I was like, I don't want to look like that. And he looked stressed out. I said, why would I spend 4 years to follow this group? And so I dropped out. Now it was chaos for me. But eventually I figured it out. So I think we, as especially people of color, need to back away from the whole college thing as a prerequisite. Like in the news is the with Massimo and the girl from Full House. They spent $500,000 to get their daughter in school. Couldn't you have started a business with give me $500,000, I'm going. I don't need to work.
Gary, what was you going to say? You were trying to jump in there, Gary?
Well, I think that I've been knowing Bridget a while, and Bridget she's in the Houston area, so she dealt with Harvey. She lost a lot. I think you got to have the spirit of a hustler.
You do.
Now, I'm going to talk to the ones that say they're out there hustling. Well, you're an independent contractor when you're out there hustling. You're an entrepreneur, you're just doing it illegal. So you can take the same spirit and the work ethic that you put into the illegal activity, and you can put it into something legal. So I want to ask Bridget and Walter, from an African-American perspective, how hard is it to just start you a small business?
Ladies first.
Okay. It's not hard at all. At this day and time, I'm going to tell you another backstory. I used to think that starting a business was for rich folks and others. And I used to think you had to go through all these hoops and hurdles to start a business until I started that daycare. And all I had to do was just go register a DBA for $16 in the state of Texas. And I just found out.
You started your business with $16
to register my business in the state of Texas. I just found out in Louisiana, where I'm originally from, it's like over $100-something just for a DBA. But still, that amount of money to invest in yourself.
You got your license, Mom?
Is not a lot. Now, that's
business
just
license,
for
peddler's
DBA.
license.
And I'm going to be speaking about Texas because those are the laws that I'm more familiar with. I can help other states. I would just have to learn what their rules and regulations are, their licenses. But in the state of Texas, you can register a DBA, which is what my daughter had for the kitchen part 2. $16. Even though the county clerk office is closed, you can print the application online, fill it out, have it notarized, mail it back in. She received her DBA within a week. So it does not take long. But if the offices were open, you get it right then. You go in with the application, they notarize it there, $17 because they have to start $1 for notarization. That's how much it costs to start a business.
So now when you get the DBA, you can go open a business bank account.
Yes. Okay, yes. That process is next. Now, if you start an LLC, which is what I normally try to push people to, because the LLC, and the way I explain it, I break it because everybody, of course, wants to know, well, what's the difference? Both of them, you register your name.
Limited
If
liability.
you go apply for a job, and let's say you went to, we'll say Houston Community College, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you went and that's what you wanted to do. But you go apply for a job, let's say the same ethnicity, you both have the same skills, the same, skills background, but you went to Houston Community College, and the person next to you went to U of H. Who do you think that employer is going to hire? So that's how I compare the LLC to just the DBA. They're both registered businesses, but you have a few more perks. You have a few more deductions and credits with LLCs than you would just a basic DBA. Once you file and register that business, then my normal process is I get the paperwork back. We're going to say LLC. I get the paperwork back. I file for your EIN, your employee identification number. Even if you don't have employees, it's still called an EIN, and you register for that EIN. Within 2 weeks, I receive another letter from the state comptroller's office to set up a franchise tax account. And what that is just the state allowing you to do business in the state of Texas. So basically, it's almost a 2-week process for everything that I do for the clients, and get all that paperwork back, and you're legal, you're legit. Now, once you get, let's say you're selling some things, well, once you get the state comptroller's letter back, then I file for your sales and tax use permit. So because you have to charge taxes, and you have to pay those taxes into the state. So that's it. It's a maybe 4 or 5, step process at the most. My complete services, I include also, which is one of the number one reasons why a lot of businesses fail, because of the lack of bookkeeping. I cannot stress that enough. Maybe it's the accounting in me, but the lack of keeping.
A lot of skimming off the top.
We as a people
Not paying the bills.
have mishandled money, mismanaged money for ages, centuries. And especially when you start a business, a lot of people when they start making the money, they start buying cars, they start buying, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and all that stuff. That's fine. But you have to also invest that money back into your business if you want it to,
survive.
And that is my mission and my vision statement is to create profitable, sustainable business. Not I'm going business this year because of the pandemic, and then next year, it didn't work out next year, So that's where my professional services come in. I also coach you along the way. I have plenty of people that will call me up or email or text me. I don't charge for a conversation like that. I only charge, when I need to do something. But yeah, to make the long story short, it does not take much at all to start your own business. $16 for a DBA. Now the LLC is a little more. It's $300, $308.10 to be exact. For an LLC, for a DBA.
Jeez. In California, it's $800 every year. That's just to get started.
Yes.
So, yeah, people outside. I can't wait to leave this state. But the people outside of California, you have it made. I mean, anyways, I that's not my forte. I have my son, and I got people that do all that stuff for me. I don't even know my EIN number, but I know that I got one. My son can tell you what the number is, right? So here's what I would add to that. Number one, and I want to kind of back up. I think when it comes to starting your own business, I think what a lot of us get afraid of is the mistakes that we've made in the past. Number one. Two, and the cheerleaders around you, I'm being funny, that tell you you can do it. Every time I get a good idea, most of the people around me say it ain't gonna work. And I get it, some of them, sometimes, most of the time they ain't, right? But I don't need to hear that, right? You just need to make sure I'm not breaking the law, I'm not breaking any rules. So I think if you just whatever it is, you just go for it. And the people around you just block out. See, I was gonna make a shirt that's is going to say bleep, then it's my turn. Because what happens is people around you, they're afraid and they're nervous. And so a lot of us won't start things. And we as Black people, we are so critical of each other, right? So I think you just really need to figure out what it is you want to get done and think about that. So me, I have 6 kids and 4 grandkids that I'm aware of. I hope they ain't going to have them more anytime soon. And so I got 10 people in my life that I got to take care of. They don't see it that way, but trust me, I believe. And, you have to have their back. So I think about that stuff, trying to business their idea. I don't really let the people around me, the naysayers, the people that aren't going to write my checks, get involved. Number 1, 2, I never saw myself as a minority. It did not occur to me, and it's funny because me and my sister were raised by a Muslim father, right? I mean, we went to the temple. We were surrounded with Blackness, but I never saw myself as a minority. And here's what I mean by that. I never said, you know what, because I'm Black, I can't do it. And maybe I'll give it to my parents because my parents were, creative. My father had his own business, does. So I didn't add color to the picture. I just started moving. And when I go to start a business, they don't ask me what color I am, right? I go into my bank and they go, okay, Mr. Coulter, do you have a deposit? Yes, right? They don't ask me my color. And so I think we really have an advantage as African Americans because let's be honest, we create everything, right? I was in a music studio with a guy that wrote Drake in My Feelings a couple nights ago. It's a little white kid, and he's so around that Black dude. And I go, I wonder if he knows he's white. Right? So there's no color when you get started on your own thing, right? And then you need to be accountable. You need to have somebody that's accountable. Like accounting kills us as Black people. So I think you need to have someone that you report to, right? Anyone that knows me, anytime you get on the phone, I say, how much are you saving? Are you saving money? Matter of fact, I had to a brother the other night. He goes, oh, man. I said, dude, how much money are you saving every month? Don't tell me you're a Black dude. Don't tell me you're a father. You ain't shit until you start putting some money away because your kids can't do nothing about that. So we have to be responsible for our own self. And I think as Black men and Black women, you guys can put the screws to us. We work off of that type of stuff. Like, you ever been in a relationship, and especially with a woman, she will check you if she care about you, right? So I think we have to hold our men accountable. We need to go to the front, especially if you got a sister in your life that's doing her own thing. Like these brothers that have strong sisters that have their own businesses and they're in the hustle. I'm like, man, even if you back her up, I mean, that's going to make you stronger. So, I mean, I ain't going to ramble about, I get stuck when we start talking about that subject because I think one of the problems with Black people is Black men, we need to step up more. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you make $1, put 10 away. I don't care what's going on in your life. And I know I've been in that situation where I had bills and I didn't save. We, as Black people, aren't going to have any power until we save money, right? And when we talk about Kamala and Joe, am I saying her name right? Kamala Harris, that's her name? Right? So, none of that's going to matter until we give money, period. So that's kind of what I want to kind of come around third base with, is we have to start putting money away. And then it comes an addiction, and then you'll be in a better position to start your own business. And you guys, it's hot to have your own business and say, you know what? Hey, this is the CEO of so-and-so. That's a good feeling. I love saying I'm the CEO. I don't care if it was a taco stand, I'm still the CEO.
Exactly.
I think you got to embrace financial freedom. And I think a lot of people don't understand what financial freedom is. And when you have financial freedom, you can get up in the morning, you ain't worried about no money. You ain't worried about nothing being paid, you ain't worried about none of that. But, as long as you got to keep punching that clock, and I'm telling you, just because you live in a nice house, got a couple of cars in the yard, what happens if you don't punch that clock no more?
Exactly. It's all gone.
What happens if you don't punch that clock no more? Now, the perks of owning your own business, once you get it rolling and it's doing what it need to do, you can take a day off whenever you need one.
Right.
You ain't gotta bring a doctor's note. You see what I'm saying? So I watched Bridget, and I just got out of a van, so I didn't put my shirt on. Demetri, can you stand up a bit so they can see the shirt?
Those are nice.
When I saw the design and just the wording on it, I'm like, that's it right there, man.
Plain and simple. That's how I wanted it. Plain and simple.
And the thing is don't put the shirt on if you ain't a boss. Put one on that say employee.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna give you one of those. I need one of those. The Boss 69 on it.
Well, she got the shirt.
Yeah.
She got the matching mask for it, and she's one of our new sponsors. So we definitely gonna be rocking Boss
Oh, she had a mask on.
on our show. I mean, so if y'all need the shirts with the matching masks, let me put up her website, and you can go straight to her website, and you can get this, man. I mean, support black-owned businesses. You want to reinvent Black Wall Street. You can't do it if you don't support the black-owned businesses. You can't do it. And how fast is your turnaround time, Bridget, if they want shirts and masks and stuff like that?
7 to 10 day business days. That's because once you go online and order, we have about 48 hours because it's made once it's ordered. You don't keep stuff on stock because it's custom made. And that's what I was going to point out as well. There's very little that's on that website, but there's a special instructions at checkout. You can get that name in any color, that logo in any color you choose. And that t-shirt, we have the different colors for the t-shirt. So we're still building on it daily. There's other things like short sets that the ladies like. We're getting into the hats for the men. So different little things like that. So just save the website and keep going back often and checking on it.
Well, let me say this here, because I'm going to tap into the base. I just seen a couple of Yates lines show up. Now, y'all know what color my shirt is. I got crimson and gold Boss shirts. So if you want a crimson and gold Boss shirt with the crimson and gold Boss mask, you need to be talking to this website. Get that website and order. Tell them exactly what you want. She did an exceptional job. And I'm always happy when I see a black entrepreneur. I'm always happy when I see one, especially when they got good product. And you know how we feel some days, Demetri and Donovan. Oh, we can't do it with the black people because it ain't going to be right. It was right. She got it to me. I shipped it off to Donovan and Demetri. And she is going to have
I pushed my merchandise lady to meet that deadline. She meets the deadlines. I love her. And her stuff. If you just wanted to use her for anything, the name of her business is Triple 3 Custom Designs, and the 3 is the 3. It's triple with 3 lowercase i's, so it's Triple 3 Custom Designs, and she's on Facebook and different social media. But I wanted to touch on the comment that he made about saving money, which that is, a big deal. We need to learn how to start saving our money and not spend as much. And I know everybody always hears the issue about, our money only circulates a small portion of the time throughout our community compared to other ethnicities, which is true. But even to start a business, like I was saying, if you really wanted to, number one, part of my services is I create a budget. Again, that's just the accounting in me. I have created a budget before because I see so many people start off. Oh, I just started my own business and I got a logo. And then they're on there. Okay, where can I get this from? Where can I get that from? I'm thinking, do I have a budget? All these things are going on in my head. Have a budget, even if you don't have a lot of funds. Because I speak with a lady at least once every other month. I've been talking to her for about a year. She's been wanting to start a business. She still can't get to the point where she's up and running. A budget. If you don't have it all right now, and you start putting that money aside, and you have a budget for how much money you're going to need to start this business. Number one, if it's an LLC, you're coming to me, you're going to need $575 off the top. So starting a budget will help you know how much money you need to save while you're still working at this 9 to 5. I have a young lady that just she launched her lip gloss line. I didn't start with her from the beginning, but I heard about her through one of my other clients. So I hurried up and gave them my number, and she gave me a call. I said, "How far are you planning? You know, do you have a business plan and so forth?" And she was all the way there, but she was stuck on getting a website. I do websites for people as well. So the small things that she hadn't tied together. I said, "Well, what about the sales and use permit?" So all these little things, don't just jump out there and say, "Okay, I started a business, I registered my name." Get a budget.